Joining me today on NYSE Floor Talk is Bobby Franklin. He is President and CEO at National Venture Capital Association. Bobby, it's wonderful to have you here. Thanks for joining me on Floor Talk.
Thanks so much for having me. Great to be here.
So Bobby, tell me about NVCA and what you do in the venture capital ecosystem.
So NVCA is actually a trade association like so many others in Washington, and we represent venture capital investors. We look at public policy issues that are facing them in Washington, work with policymakers to make sure they understand how public policy impacts entrepreneurs and their investors.
All right, so you're celebrating a big milestone this year, 50 years.
Yes.
That's amazing. So now tell me, what have been some of your successes over the years?
That's a great question. After 50 years, you've got a lot. So the folks that actually started the NVCA back in 1973 really did so after they went to Washington and lobbied for changes to the ERISA rules, which allowed pension funds to be investors in alternative assets. And then a few years later, they lobbied to lower the capital gains tax rate. And most people point to those two milestones in public policy as the birth of the modern day venture industry. It led to so much more capital coming into the ecosystem so that firms could raise funds and invest in entrepreneurs.
Now tell me, what are some of the key policy issues and challenges currently facing the venture capital industry?
You know, there's a lot. Unfortunately, Washington's not always as friendly as we would like them to be right now. Frankly, the Securities and Exchange Commission, with some of their rulemakings, are making it more difficult. The DOJ and the FTC, with the changes in merger guidelines, make it more difficult for mergers and acquisitions. So we've got a lot of headwinds there. And then we're preparing for 2025, which will be a monumental tax bill. The Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017 expire. We'll have a new president, perhaps. We'll have a new House and Senate leadership, perhaps. So following the election, we know it's going to be a very consequential year.
So what should VCs know as we head into an election year?
Well, they should know that we're on the job. We're looking after their interests. But, you know, it's not really the VC interests that we focus on. It's what's important to their portfolio companies. A small entrepreneur with a few people, a dog in a garage, proverbially, don't have the resources to have their own Washington office. And it's not like VCs need a lot of lobbying. So what we focus on are what's important for those young nascent companies that are trying to, frankly, be here on the New York Stock Exchange as a public company one day.
And Bobby, tell me, where do you see venture capital in the US in the next 5 to 10 years?
I'm always optimistic about venture capital. We invented the phrase, the term, the art of it here. My counterparts around the world and I meet every 18 months or so, and I can tell their jealousy of what we have in the US. And so I am super optimistic, even though right now people are saying, well, there's not as much capital as there were the last 2 years. That's okay. We're going to see cycles. And when you raise a venture capital fund, it's a 10-year fund, by extension, 15 and longer. So I don't get too worked up about what happens day to day, minute to minute, quarter to quarter. I sort of think about as long as there's capital available for entrepreneurs to start and grow businesses, to take an idea, a new product, a service that's going to change the world to the next level, we're going to be excited to have them.
And Bobby, tell me, what excites you most about the potential for innovation and growth in the industry?
I think, well, right now, AI. Everybody's focused on AI. And it feels like this is going to be an inflection point in innovation. And it's important that we, here in the US, remain competitive with other countries. So AI is going to be key to that. Entrepreneurs are going to be key to that. And venture capital investors that are members of NVCA are going to be right alongside them.
All right, Bobby, fantastic to talk with you. Thanks for joining me on Floor Talk today.
Great to be here.